bought my first property. Bought 3 properties in Texas, bought 1 in Florida, 1 in Maryland. I'm up to 5. I partnered with a guy. We bought a 6th property in Spring Lake last December with the sole purpose of Airbnb. We started Military First BnB Solutions 1 August, and we'll be close to 20 properties at the end of this weekend. So we have 5 locations. We have a location here. We have a location in El Paso, Killeen, Texas, Columbus, Georgia, and I always forget the 5th location. Just forgive me. What I gave you is a front and back paper that sort of gives you just the sort of nuts and bolts of the concept. We charge 25% for management because Airbnb is a high-touch business. For 1 guest, it's 8 messages minimum. So there's the inquiry, there's the booking, there's check-in instructions, there's the checkout, there's a check-in with the guest the first day, there's a reminder of checkout, and then there's a follow-up. So it goes back and forth. I think when I look at my average, it's probably about 16 to 20 messages per guest from start to finish. And then you can see the things that we provide with the management, that 25%. We provide what we call sundry items, which is, all soaps, paper towels, toilet paper, oatmeal, grits, coffee, sugar and creamer, and things of that nature. And then we also, from an investment perspective, we're in your house probably 5 to 10 times a month. So that's part of the management fee. People are like, well, why are you at the house? Or what does that do for me as an investor if somebody on your staff is in my house 10 times a month? Well, if you have a long-term property, how many times does the property manager inspect? Most property managers in Fayetteville inspect twice a year. And their maintenance schedule is based on the tenant complaining. Our maintenance schedule is based on preventive maintenance. We walk through a house, hey, the screws on the refrigerator are loose, tighten them up before the handle breaks. Any number of things. Something's loose on the wall. There's a faucet that starts leaking. We correct it before it breaks. So that's what you get from a management perspective. We primarily use the Airbnb channel. The reason why, some of the reasons why we just use Airbnb is it's the #1 marketing program in the world right now. Hands down, for real estate, Airbnb captures the market. And the other thing is, from a tax perspective, if we use other channels, it makes things inherently complicated for both me and the owner. So not only do I have to reset all my fees, I have to pay taxes to the local community and to the state, and then I have to provide tax documents not only to the IRS but to you as an owner, because you're going to pay taxes too. Now, I'm not talking about your income tax, I'm talking about hospitality tax. And by the way, our booking percentage on a monthly average is 80 to 92%. So why would I care about any other booking channel at 92%? Now, one of the things that you won't see in there is I get a lot of questions about, the first question a property owner will ask me is, what is your occupancy rate? And my response to them is, it's irrelevant to you. Because what they're doing is they're trying to apply hotel matrix, valuation metrics for Airbnb. So you can take a hotel, it's $92 a month in Fayetteville, and if you're booked at about 60%, 17 days a month, I'm going to kick your butt with 12 days of rentals. Why? Because after 4 people, I charge $10 extra per person per night. So I got a property that's off of Ramsey. I'm averaging about $135 a night on that property. It's unique. It's got a spiral staircase in it. Everybody loves it. It develops its own reputation, and the review process, you know, book it out all the time. So that's the concept. I'll go back to the property management, 25%. We've completely automated the check-in, check-out process. We don't use keys. We do have emergency system in place, like if the cable goes out or if the electricity goes out and somebody shows up and they need to get in the house. One, the smart lock's battery operated, so it operates off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and Z-Wave and Alexa and about 20 other pieces of technology. But if it doesn't work, we have a key hidden somewhere on the property. We only tell the guests if there's a requirement, so they never know it, and that works pretty good for us. You can see the property that's displayed on there. That property started, it's the chart, it's the bar chart with 4 bars on it. Here, let me, I'll just hold it up. So it's this one here. So that property started in September. Just put it on there. It's grossing about 25%. Or I'm sorry, it grossed about 2,500 in September. In October, it's going to gross 3,500 in November. So I've sort of covered the benefits of short-term rental concepts. You can see the short-term versus long-term revenue analysis. You know, I just say it is what it is. This example is a duplex that I have in Texas. So I was getting $1,500 a month for both sides. My worst month, I've been doing it almost a year now. My worst month on both sides is about $3,000. So that property is 15 years old, so the maintenance costs sort of consume some of that revenue every now and again. Like the dishwasher went out, it's 14 years old. Oh, okay, it's $500, right? If a dishwasher lasts 14 years for every property, I'm happy. Air conditioning went on one side, that's about $4,000. And then we use data-driven prices. So we use a price optimization software that takes hotel demand data, it takes like-kind properties. So if you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, it looks at 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's based on zip codes. So Fayetteville, many people don't recognize, like, there's All-American Week at Fort Bragg. So All-American is when the 82nd Airborne, for those who aren't in the military or don't know what it is, celebrate the birthday or the organization of the 82nd Airborne. I think 215% is what it booked out. All of my properties are booking out compared to the normal rate on that week, 5 to 7 days at about 215%. Tattoo Festival. Methodist University has one of the best soccer teams in the state. So when they play, demand goes up. So those are things that most people don't consider when they talk about demand, because they only think about what they know. Tattoo Festival, I would have never, I just wouldn't have tracked that. So, and all of these services, we can scale them where somebody who runs 1 or 2 Airbnbs is going to be bumped out because of cost. What do I mean by that? Well, for price optimization and property management software and all the other services that we provide, you're probably going to get to about 45 to 50% of your revenue in cost to get that service for yourself. Well, if I have 25, 35, 45 properties, I'm going to scale that price optimization software. It's going to cost me a lot less over time. So while you're adjusting your prices, I'm using price optimization. And I'll take that contest every day of the week, because it adjusts every night at midnight. It's based on, I'm not sure the data. Has anyone seen the Netflix program called Stay Here? Yeah, so it's just a small 6-series thing. These 2 designers travel around the country, find these Airbnbs that are not doing well. They redesign and rehab them, and they use a software package, and it's very similar to the one that I use. And they said it's probably 25 million bytes of data per day that it uses in its algorithm to be able to create prices for properties. So this is supposed to be a discussion, so I'll stop talking now and let you guys, like, you know, we are learning every day. So what questions do you have?
So when you're looking for properties to move into this kind of a program, what are you looking for? What would be the right size for Fayetteville?
All. And the reason why I say that is the more we get exposure, the more requirements we take on, right? So today's Saturday. Yeah, today's Saturday. 2 days ago, I added 4 properties. 2 of them are 1 bedrooms. One's a 2 bedroom, and then one's a 4 bedroom, 3.5 bath house. So it's more about location. So I think that the most important part of this is people need to feel secure about where they're staying. The property I have in Spring Lake, it's in a neighborhood where it's mostly retired military. And when I say retired military, what I'm talking about is people who moved here and lived when Pope Air Force Base was booming. So they're in their 70s probably. And it's a low-income area. So I've had a guest stay there and say, "Wow, this place is not a great place." It's like, really? There's no crime in the neighborhood. And her response to me directly was, "Yeah, but the guy next door wears an ankle bracelet." Okay. He could wear an ankle bracelet for DUI, right? Like, the guy across the street, she complained that he was drunk and slept on his lawn. I'm like, you can get anything stolen. No one, like, one of the neighbors will introduce themselves to many guests. So it's really about location and aesthetics.
What do you do about the HOA requirements? I'm noticing that they're getting a lot stricter and actually specifying Airbnb in their bylaws.
We stay away from HOAs, but we also get around them too. So some HOAs will say nothing less than 30-day rentals.
Correct.
So you can put that restriction on a booking.
Correct. But then they're actually specifying it in the declarations or the restrictive covenants. Now they're saying Airbnb specifically. Like Little and Young.
Yeah, Little and Young, I've had a couple people talk to me and they're like, I'm like, "Who's your HOA manager?" Little and Young. I'm like, "Sorry, I can't help you." I explain to them why I can't help them. There's nothing that I can do about that. So the city manager believes that he does not have the authority. Now, I'm not telling you secondhand information, right? I'm telling you the Fayetteville city manager does not think he has the authority to govern people's use of their property. There is no ordinance that is enforceable in Fayetteville that stops Airbnbs. Here's the reason why I say that. One of my owners got sanctioned. We called the city manager, withdrawn and dismissed. Because there are hundreds of Airbnbs in Fayetteville. So, hey, you're going to sanction us? Sanction everyone. You're not going to sanction everyone. We stay away from HOAs. We just do. We read the bylaws, and if they're prohibitive, we just stay away from them. Because if you guys are in real estate, you know there's 2 people outside of the bank that can foreclose on your property, right? That's the first one is the city for property taxes. The second one is the HOA. They can't foreclose on your property. So you don't want to lose that battle. What else?
The 25% management fee,
Yeah.
is that for first stay, correct? So if the stay is 3 days, whatever the total is.
Yeah, so we only make money when you make money, right? It's just like long-term property management. The difference is the guest pays the cleaning fee. So if you make let's say a stay is $1,000. It's 10 days, $100 a night, and it's a $100 cleaning fee. Your 25% management fee gets subtracted. I'm sorry, the cleaning fee gets subtracted from the revenue prior to the cleaning fee being calculated, because the guest pays the cleaning. So we don't make any money on it, and you don't lose it. You don't pay for cleaning. The guest pays for it.
How do you determine profitability of the property?
I don't think there's any right answer, right? You just have to, we've taken a look at it and said, okay, this may work. Sometimes it's just a deal.
Other question. How many days a year does a typical property payable and rented out for air?
I don't know the answer to that question. I would probably say, well, I'm averaging 80% booking, 80% occupancy across all the properties.
That's really good.
And I'm telling you that's an average. I have four properties that are booked out for 4 months or more right now. So I have a website too, right? You can see on my business card. The other marketing channel I use, which has direct bookings, which circumvents the Airbnb model, is you just go to the website and you book the property. So I have that ability to charge the tenant less and to make you more money. And the reason why I make you more money by charging the tenant less is I don't pay service fees. So, I mean, it's not going to be this enormous amount, but it allows me to make it more attractive to the tenant or the guest. A lot of people that we're helping is people who have had their house on the market for 400, 500 days. They can't sell it. I just talked to this lady who has a property in Manassas, Virginia. She can't pay the mortgage, she can't sell it, and she doesn't want a long-term rent. So it's kind of like, hey, I can help you. And then on that sheet, you'll see the average house to furnish costs about 10 grand. There's a lot of ways to save money from that. The 4-bedroom house that I just picked up, I know the owner personally. He's like, I don't know if I can swing that. So I go out to his property. He takes me to this house behind his. We walk through it. There's 5 bedrooms worth of furniture. I'm like, dude, this is not going to cost you a dime to put. So all beds, all mattresses, dressers, all this other stuff. And you know, so a kitchen is about $1,000. So that's the thing that we're sort of building data to help people understand where the capital infusion comes from and what's required, and then how you can recoup that money in probably 6 months.
Have you ever had a situation where an owner essentially went to rent a room or rent a center or whatever the case may be, furniture, and just calculated that cost until
No.
you haven't had that situation?
No, I would recommend that. I would vehemently recommend that against. I would recommend against that. So, just as an example, we just did a house for $8 grand, furnished completely. That's and that doesn't include just the furniture. That's 3 sets of sheets, 3 duvets, all the pillows, all the towels, like everything. I priced rent-a-center or an equivalent service the other day. It's $2,700 a month to do a house. So, I mean, you do the numbers. 8 grand or $2,700 a month. I mean, you'll never make your money. You will never make money if you go to rent. What I want to be able to get to do, we're 4 months old, what I want to be able to do is walk into an owner and say, it's not going to cost you anything. I'll furnish your house, I'll charge you 35, 40% of management for a period of time until we recoup the funds, right, plus a charge, and then you know, then your house will stay. Now, it's going to require a commitment from an owner to do that, but I can probably do 1 or 2 right now. I can't do them all. I just don't have the capital, right? And I'm not willing to the other thing is, I want to grow small. We're learning and building processes for this. So if I grow too fast, I'm going to get my butt kicked. If you see on the property management thing, we use August smart locks. One of the features of that thing is it has a doorbell camera. And to equip a house, it's about $500 to $550 for that thing. People are like, oh man, that's a lot of money. My house on Ramsey Street, I just collected, they stayed one night. I collected $200 for the total charge for the stay. That renter paid me $820 for a party, cleaning, and all kind of other stuff. Only because that doorbell camera allowed me to count the number of guests that stayed in the house, 32. Watch him bring freaking a DJ system into the house and all kind of other stuff. That's the reason I love Airbnb. All I do is capture all those photos, I upload it to the system, I send the guy a note and say, hey, I noticed that you violated our party policy, so that's $400. It's $10 extra, that's $320. This is the amount of it costs you for cleaning, this is the damage you cost to the property, here's your final bill. And what Airbnb does for us is they are the bad guy, they're the dispute or the arbitration, right? So I don't have to argue with the guests. I never argue with the guests. I never tell them they're wrong, I never tell them what they say is not correct. I just send them a message, say, hey, here's what happened. They say denied. I call Airbnb and I say, hey, you're going to arbitrate it in 72 hours. They make a decision. They call the guests and they tell them what's going to happen. And the beauty of it is they have their credit card, right? When they sign the terms of agreement, if you want to know how powerful a platform is, go read the Airbnb terms of agreement. You will never win as a guest. If you do something wrong, you won't win. It's kind of like Google and Apple, right? Who's read the new iPhone terms of agreement? No. Do something wrong, jailbreak that phone and get caught, you know, and then try to get your money back from Apple. Good luck. What else?
Has anybody ever tried to rent out just a room or an additional space in the home that they occupy with you?
Right now, we only rent out full properties. The 4-bedroom that I picked up this weekend, I'm going to experiment with renting out a room. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because it has 2 master suites in it. The problem with renting out a room when you don't or someone doesn't live in the house is it creates a bunch of legal problems. So if you two rent a room out in a house and you get in a fight, guess who's in trouble? Me. Because what's the property owner going to tell me? They're going to be angry because the cops come and how much damage. I mean, like, so then I'm in a situation where who do I charge for the damages? So there's no, even if you put cameras in there, there's no physical way for me to account which party damaged the property. So I shy away from it right now. It works in Europe, but the other thing that we do is we set a pricing floor for every property. Because what we learned is you got to keep out the riffraff. And if you go below a certain price, you're going to get trouble. It may just be a tenant who tries to get their money back. You know, they'll stay 5 days and create this huge list of problems, take pictures. I had a tenant that did that, and that was the day that I was like, no more, we're setting pricing floor. So what they did was they took pictures of all the beds and they said that it was dirty. And then they took some other pictures, and you could tell that they doctored the photos because all the pictures of the bed, they peeled back the foot of the bed. And then I think they placed like hair and all kind of stuff. Like, who goes to a hotel and pulls back the sheets at the foot of the bed? No one does. So I won that argument because, again, I didn't argue with her. I said, I'm sorry we didn't meet your expectations, and I'll send a cleaning crew over there right now. And her response to me was, don't you dare come in this house while I'm here. And she stayed 5 days. Kind of like, so Airbnb was like, she stayed 5 days, it wasn't so bad. I don't know. So, I mean, if I go to a hotel and it's crappy and they don't do anything about it, I'm leaving. And I'm going to call American Express and say, hey, I want my money back. So she stayed all 5 days. What else?
What is the floor that you said?
It depends on the property. It depends on the area, really. It's amenities and the property and the area. Downtown Fayetteville will be different than North Ramsey Street, which will be different than Spring Lake, will be different than Fort Hood, Texas, will be different than Columbus, Georgia. There's no specific science. I mean, you have an Airbnb, right? Somebody has an Airbnb already. What? So,
One bedroom, one bath.
do you?
60 is the cheapest.
60, yeah. It's you have to. So let's talk about Fayetteville. You have to sort of put yourself into the Fayetteville market and go, how much does a hotel cost, and how much is someone willing to pay for this? We don't compete with hotels, and here's why. Name one hotel that has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a full kitchen, and a fenced-in yard for pets. We don't compete. We don't. Like, and that's going to be my argument to the city manager and all his officials is we don't compete with the community. We don't compete with hotels for that reason, and we don't stack houses. So we don't put 15 people in a house. There's not 20 cars in a driveway, nothing like that.
So I have a client that does very well in Fayetteville with Airbnb. He has a couple of condos, and that's why this little young thing is.
Yep, it's kicking his butt.
Yeah, I know it's kicking my butt.
Yeah.
But he's getting for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 120 a night.
Yeah.
And he's making a killing.
He is.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's constantly booked.
Yeah. I mean, to stay constantly booked and have a $120 a night price in Fayetteville, the amenities need to be better, a little bit better. Where there's things that we're still figuring out, like if a person stays 15 days or 30 days, I learned my lesson there too. Had somebody stay for 4 months, we did not clean for 4 months, no cleanings, right? Well, they didn't trash the place, but it was just really dirty. And the cleaner calls me and says, hey, I'm here, and if you're paying me the same price that you normally pay me, I'm leaving. Because it's too dirty here. So, like, we learned, hey, we have to have incremental cleanings. And I don't know about what your experience is or your experience is. Cleanings are kicking my butt. They're killing.
You have
Because
to have a big team.
Yeah, we got a good one.
You have to be OCD about it.
yes,
That's
but
why I just do my cleaning. So,
yes, but the guests will ask me to waive the cleaning fees countless times. Hey, we'll just clean. We'll clean the house. Don't worry about it. I'm very worried about it. I'm very worried about it. So, what else? What?
What about superhost status? 'Cause,
Superhost?
Airbnb is big with this superhost status, and a lot of people. I found that I do have one Airbnb in Wilmington, and so it seemed like when I did obtain the superhost status, my bookings went up, and the quality of the guests went up as well. So does your company help to maintain that, or do you not focus on that? Or?
I do focus on it. We are a super host in every location, so if someone decides to come with us, we own the listing. We We do not do co-hosting. So if you have a listing and you want me to manage a property, I'm going to write a listing for you. I'm going to own the listing. And the reason why I do that is 1 July of this year, Airbnb changed its policy and said they would no longer pay superhosts. They would no longer pay co-host. Well, that presents a big issue for me. Whether they do it or not is really irrelevant. But if they decide to do it, then I'm managing your property and now you're collecting revenue. And that's a risk that I would take, or my company would take. So I own the listing, I have a superhost status. We do our best to maintain it. There's times when you can't control stuff. Location is a big problem, right? On the reviews, if you've been on Airbnb, somebody will book your place and they say location sucks. Well, you selected it. It shows a map. And when you booked, you got an address. Why are you telling me the location sucks? I mean, it's one of those things where I don't like it, but I have to deal with it, right? So we sort of manage it. And we get enough bookings to stay in the superhost status, and the amenities that we provide and the cleaning sort of gets us there and keeps us there. Right now we're at like 4.7 and we're 78%. By the end of the month we'll be back in the 80% range for 5-star ratings, and we'll be above 4.8, which is 4.8 stars. It's how Airbnb sort of modulates that. The other thing I learned is Airbnb, I don't know if you guys have figured this out, I spend a lot of time on the phone with Airbnb. A ton. Oh my God. If you don't go with me and you have Airbnbs and you've never spent time on the phone with them, stop not calling them. Anytime you have a problem, call them. The more interaction you have with them, now when I call, oh my God, it's off the charts. They bend over backwards for me. I got invited to talk about the Army at Fort Campbell last week. I booked a place, and the Army called me the day before and said, sorry, we screwed up the paperwork. We're not paying for you to come. But you can come on your own if you want to. I called Airbnb. I called the host and said, hey, I can't afford this. I can't go. And here's the situation. She's like, well, I'm going to charge you this much money. I called Airbnb. And I didn't complain. I just said, here's the situation, and what do you recommend I do? She said, we just canceled your reservation, and we're going to pay the money that the host would have charged you because you're a superhost. So, I mean, my experience with Airbnb is the more that I'm involved with them and my managers are involved with them, the better it is for me. So I call them. If there's a problem, I call them. Even if it's just to sort of verify, hey, this person is a problem. It's worked for me.
What does your staff currently look like?
I have one full-time employee. Everybody else is 1099s. It makes, from a legal and a business perspective, it makes the most sense. Now, are we going to look like that, 9, 10, 12 months from now? Probably not. But right now, it's the best choice for us. I 1099 all my managers. I have a manager in each city, to include one here in Fayetteville. The reason why I 1099 them is, the first thing is, it gives them the opportunity to do other things when the number of properties are small. But on the other side, it doesn't cap their income. So the harder they work, from a revenue perspective, the more money they make. And I'll never switch those managers to salary employees. No matter how much money they make from the company, they will always get that 1099 percentage off the top because it motivates them. What else? Yeah.
So what does your day-to-day kind of look like if you have a manager here and one everywhere else? So are you just like scouting for the next installation, or does the manager here handle everything in Fayetteville?
No, the manager here doesn't handle everything. So I run business operations, and I hired a manager in Fayetteville 3 weeks ago. So, and my business partner argued with me for an entire day that we were not going to hire a manager. And 2 days after we hired a manager, he's like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing we could have done." I can't believe. So every time I've made a personnel decision, my business partners argue with me. And I'm not trying to be right, but I'm like, it's time. I hired an accountant from day one. And he's like, it's too much money. And the first time she generated owner ledgers and put all the documents where they needed to be, he's like, "Oh my God, this is the best decision you ever made." I was like, dude, I just want to be legal. I hired a manager. I just hired an admin person. And I'm hiring, so my admin person is now doing things that I know that I put off for about 6 months. So writing procedure, providing coverage for other people. So the people who have Airbnbs know that this is a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day business. And it's why when I talk to property owners, they get it. If they are doing Airbnb, they get it. I had a property owner I convinced to do Airbnb after about 3 weeks of negotiating. 24 hours after we put our house on the platform, she calls me and says, "Oh my God, your service is worth every penny. I have never seen so many freaking email messages in 24 hours." So, from a statistics perspective, I kind of want to help you guys understand, because I talked about 80% occupancy rates. On Airbnb, the average is about 1.5% of bookings. I don't know if you... Well, I just use it as a sort of measure, right? So from a view perspective, so a little bit of background. I have an MBA from Syracuse, and then I have a doctorate in financial management. So I'm kind of a geek from a numbers perspective, and I get into, everybody wants me to pay for advertising, and I ask them, "What's my return on my money?" And they go, "Well, for billboards, you get 1 million views a day." And I'm like, okay, I agree with that. 1 million views. How many customers do I get? Well, we don't measure customers. I'm like, you don't measure customers? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Oh, you can do this postcard program. I used to own a business that did postcards. 0.13% return on money for postcards. Yeah, they're cheap. They're 10 cents a piece, right? $30,000 later, you get 4 customers, and you're like, "Whoa, man, the acquisition cost is high." Airbnb cost me 0 for marketing. So, from a view perspective, 100 views generates about 2 people, normally. And the reason why I say that is I get a lot of inquiries, and when I hire managers, they would get excited when someone would say, "I want to book the property," but they didn't book. And it was just this enormous... You didn't want for this, huh, Shelby? It was an enormous time suck for me and my managers, because I was thinking that I was going to get a booking, right? And I was continuously engaging the person, and then when I started to look at the numbers, I realized, like, hey, make an effort, but if the person if they don't book, don't spend a lot of time, because it takes 100 to get you 2. So, I mean, I just say that from a numbers perspective. It might or might not be relevant to you. From a numbers perspective, we tell our owners, our property owners, they can expect about 180% of long-term revenue in short-term properties. What I mean by that is, if you make $1,000, if your gross revenue is $1,000 a month, your gross revenue in Airbnb should never fall below $1,800 a month. Now, of course, everybody has different expenses, and that's why I don't mess around with net profit. Because if an owner, I have one owner that said, hey, I need you to buy this much furniture and just take it out of my revenue over a couple months until you get your money back. So if I were to tell you what his net profit was for 3 months, it would be zero, right? So you'd be like, oh, how the heck is he making money? Yeah, that's $3,000 in 3 months. That should have been profit to the owner, but was used to fund the furniture purchase. So that's why I just talk about gross revenue and just call it a day. What else?
Do you think that Fayetteville, the city of Fayetteville, should implement some sort of Airbnb or short-term rental guidelines like all the other cities are doing before somebody comes up and decides to just try to shut it all down or what?
So our what's that?
The property management companies in town are trying already. That's the problem. They actually specify it. No Airbnb in the restricted covenants.
Just buy a property.
That's single family, correct.
I agree with her.
Even a multi-family if it's your own. You know, if you're in an HOA, you're in a whole different ballgame, and you don't even need anything.
So I think the city should eventually do something, but I don't think it should be restrictive in nature. And what we're going to do as an organization is we're going to actively engage the city leadership, because there are tons of misperceptions about Airbnb, and I talked about some of those things. Hey, you're causing excess traffic and more people to come to the city. No, we're not. We're accommodating those people, and we're not stacking property. So I'm not putting, you know, the sewage system evaluation is 2 heartbeats per room in a house. That's how they evaluate the sewer system and things like that for a city. That's pretty much what we do. So there's no extra thing. It provides, and I'm going to develop talking points and start engaging, because most of the people that are in the leadership don't understand. Their first argument is, you're taking money away from the hotels. That's the first argument. The second one is, you're taking housing away from people who need housing. That's completely wrong. If you evaluate the real estate market right now, there is so much inventory on the market that's might not actually be on the market, but it's unoccupied in this city. I looked on Airbnb. So a client called me the other day and said, I need a 5-bedroom house. I need it for 4 months, and here's my threshold. You guys know there's a castle in Fayetteville? It's on Willow. It's 1.9 million bucks. It's 9.3 acres. I think it's 7,000 or 14,000 square foot. It has a pool, heart-shaped driveway. It's like the most unique property you ever see. But my point is that there's so many vacant properties in Fayetteville. We'll never take housing away. And we went over hotels, and you all went over hotels for one reason only, and for one reason only: quality. Hotels here suck.
Yes.
Who stayed in a hotel in Fayetteville lately? The last time I had a buddy come to town, he stayed in a hotel. This was probably about 10 months ago. My property's occupied. He called me at midnight. He goes, dude, there are roaches crawling all over me. I can't stay in this place. And it is a national recognized brand. So
How often are you in dialogue with leadership? Because, I mean, so
we're in dialogue now. We're 4 months old, okay? So the company's 4 months old. So we're going to choose opportunities to have discussions early rather than wait. Because the city manager, I'm sort of in a unique position. I see things and I hear things that the city manager says that some people don't have the opportunity. The point about the city manager thinking he doesn't have the authority to regulate personal property, personal private real property. There might be an attorney that works for the city that believes that there exists no authority in zoning to do this. I mean, from a legal perspective, I believe the market will win. And I think the baseball stadium is going to change the dialogue.
I feel like that Airbnb or short-term rentals are more like an ambassador to Fayetteville
That's right.
than the hotel. Because families can be in the same house, they cook family meals. I mean, if you just bring up the positive part to the city, they should relinquish. There should be control, don't get me wrong. I think that there honestly should be, because I don't think that people should just decide, hey, I'm gonna, you know, you have to have a place where you want to stay or your family, because some people are in it just for the money. And there are some, if you go on Airbnb and you look at some of the listings, you wouldn't want to stay there. You know, I'm sure those listings will eventually go away. But if that's somebody's first impression of Airbnb and they stay somewhere where the host is not responsive or the place is not clean or you're in a bad area that you shouldn't be in, you know, because there are places in Fayetteville that you shouldn't do Airbnb, you know, and that gives everybody a bad reputation. So we need to self-police ourselves also, you know, because do the right thing and everybody benefits.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I will bring up to leadership is this concept, the short-term and room rental concept built its credibility in Europe because of what you're talking about. I stayed in Portugal, or I'm sorry, I stayed, where did I stay? In Spain, in this little bitty freaking room, and the host was freaking amazing. Like, they had this sheet of paper printed out, says, you know, if you only have 2 hours in the city, here's what you should do. If you only have 4 hours in the city, here's what you should do. I mean, and they interacted with me, and like, hey, here's where you should eat at. Here's what, you know, here's where you shouldn't go. Here are the things that we like in the city. So I think that.
And some people want that, and some people want to be totally left alone. They want to check themselves in. They don't even want to, they'll message you and say, yep, I booked. That's good. They don't ever want to hear another word from you. You just have to be able to know what people want, you know.
Yeah, the one-on-one interaction is a concept that hotels just can't replicate, because if there's a concierge, there's concierge that I've traveled to New York City and stayed in really nice hotels because somebody else paid for it. I walk down to the concierge. Hey, where do you recommend we eat? Here's what we're looking for. You know, honestly, I don't live in this area, so I have no idea where to go. Like, this is your job. How are you still employed at this place? So, and that's things that we're working on. Like you asked me what I do on a daily basis. I know that there are things that need to be done that haven't been done. Like a welcome book that says, hey, if you're staying in this property, here are all the things that are around here that provide an opportunity for you to enjoy yourself. So those things, putting Google Home or Alexa in a property, because it's a virtual assistant.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just thinking about it. So you do like an owner highlight too. So whoever who lives in that home and the places they like to drink or eat.
Right. So all of those things take time. The property that I bought in Spring Lake, I was telling, I forgot your name, sorry, Matt. I was telling Matt, so we bought a property in Spring Lake. I fell through the kitchen floor 3 times when I looked at it. We put about $60,000 in it. And what I want to do is build a book that stays on the coffee table that shows the before and after pictures, because it's a conversation starter. I'm not trying to brag about what we did. I'm like, hey dude, look, this is where this house came from. Like, we replaced all the joists. The house is brand new from the dirt to the ceiling, completely brand new. We thought we'd go in. We bought it for about $20,000. We thought we'd do about $35,000 worth of repairs. $65,000 later, we're done. Well, we're not really, right? We got to paint the outside, and we got to do some other things. But yeah, flipping is not so good sometimes. It can be. What else? from a property owner, I want to know what your concerns are. From an investor, right? Like,
How does wear and tear compare, like on Airbnb, to like a long-term rental? Like, is there a lot more wear and tear or less because you're in it more?
I think it's comparable or less. Because in a long-term rental, the people live there, right? So they do a lot of things there. In an Airbnb, it's like a hotel. So most people come or stay in the property, they're gone all day. So they're not, you know, they don't cook as much. They don't do a lot of things that you do. Now, I'm not telling you that every guest is like that, because we allow pets. We recommend to owners that they allow pets. And the reason why we do that, so you guys saw my little statement at the end and said, our long-term goal is to get to every major U.S. military installation in the country. And here's the reason why. When someone moves from station to station, they normally have, the people that we like to attract, have 2 kids, a dog, and like 3 cars. Well, staying in a hotel that accepts pets with 2 kids it's expensive. I can put you in a house for $75, $80 a night. I mean, that's a lot cheaper. What's that? They do damage, but we have, so again, the procedures I talked about, if you go on any one of my properties and look at the house rules, it's about this long, right? It's that long for a reason. For 2 reasons. Because Airbnb reviews work, and because when I make a claim on a guest, I want to win. For a valid reason, right? If somebody, and the experiences that I've had from properties, like a property in Texas, a dog chewed a blind, the tenant took a picture and sent it to my manager and said, how much does this cost? But like, I've had really good experiences. I've had 3 now. We've been doing this since, so I've been doing it personally longer than I've been doing it as a company. I've been doing it for about 18 months. I've had 3 sort of what I would call, I just call them crazy. And I'm batting 1,000, right? I'm sure that'll change over time as the organization grows and we get more properties. But I've learned that, like, you don't argue with a guest. And if you Google Airbnb forums, how long has the platform been in existence? For, yeah. So there are tons of examples that owners that are doing like single or like 2 properties, they'll be like, hey, if a guest does this, here's what you should do, here's what you should do. There's thousands of examples of that. So if I have a guest where I have a problem and I don't know what to do, the first thing I do is to go to the forum and say, just word search, boom. 9 chances out of 10, someone's had that problem. So some of the challenges that we're dealing with, because I don't want to say that it's all rainbows and horseshoes, right? Pets. How do you allocate cleaning for pets? I don't know. Because people complain already about cleaning fees.
Could you do something very similar to how long-term tenants do? We may charge a pet deposit or an additional income per month. Is that something that you've considered?
I have considered it. I haven't figured out how to implement it yet. The pet deposit. So like pet deposits, part of the challenge is the customer doesn't understand some of the things that are occurring. So if you pay for a pet deposit on Airbnb, you technically are not getting, that's not getting collected from your credit card. It's a hold. But people don't understand it. They think that money is being collected and is distributed to me, and then I only give it back to them if I want to. It's like, so educating the consumer is one of the challenges that I think Airbnb, as a participant on Airbnb, we have. Did you have a question?
Toby, what, could you briefly describe the process if we have a property and we want you to manage it? How would that, what would that look like? How long would it take?
You call me, I come out there. It can take anywhere from
Okay.
5 minutes to 4 hours to walk the property.
Got it.
I ask you, what's up?
After this, he's gonna start the generator, so we'll probably break up, get another beer, and then you can talk to him as you see fit. Yeah. Good? So finish your thought and then or not. Man. Sorry.
So the biggest thing that I need to know about the property, you need to understand what the management consists of, because that's the biggest sort of stumbling block in there, and then what the cost is for furniture. Other than that, it doesn't take long. Like, I've had properties, 10 minutes, the owner calls me, has a discussion with me, and they're like, okay, this is the property, come take pictures, we're good to go. The other thing, we need professional photography. It's mandatory, right? Mandatory. If you don't want professional photography of your property, you can go just on your Airbnb yourself. The reason why I say that is I get 50% more revenue in bookings with your professional photography. I sent a property owner the pictures of his property after the professional pictures were taken, and he called me on the phone and he goes, "Nice joke, buddy. Send me the pictures of my property." And I was like, "That's your property, buddy." He was blown away. Just the difference between an iPhone picture and professional photography. So,
Okay, guys, if you're not going anywhere, right? Okay, well, everyone, can you give me a round of applause? Thank you. Yeah, you guys, if you want another beer, and then you can talk, do whatever.
When did we go to that? That's like July.
Hey, I do have a question for you. Right, so you said you were in the hotel.
Yeah, sorry.
So, no, so now I don't do hotel. So as of now, if there's any right now, I'm probably kind of sitting down this week. My biggest thing is I got a deal in the contract. I don't have any money. So like trying to sell it is horrible. With that. So I learned from that. So now I always try to get this. I always try to start a transaction. I always try to come in and buy it first. But I know I was like, I know my buyer material makes it a lot easier to find something. Yeah, it's selling like that. Right now, as a broker, one of the biggest issues is knowing that the best deals that start off wholesale are off the market. So finding a way to do like we were talking about, finding a way to compensate everybody in the transaction, start with the wholesale, sell it to an end buyer, to find a compensation medium. That's my biggest challenge now. Because again, sell it to the place. That's not the case. That's why when I was talking to you, that's still something that I'd like to figure out.
Let me pause this. Sorry.